Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Steelers trading for Jalen Ramsey. This on another episode of So the Pittsburgh Steelers. They pulled off one of the more interesting trades of the offseason this week when they traded for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith from the Miami Dolphins. The exact terms of the trade are that the Steelers get Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith and the Dolphins' 2027 7th-round pick in exchange for Minka Fitzpatrick and the Steelers' 2027 5th-round pick. Now, what do I think about this? Well, let's go player by player. So Jalen Ramsey, he's an older cornerback, but he's still a pretty good cornerback for all things considered. And he, on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, is a great addition because now they have one of the better cornerback rooms in the NFL. And on top of that, they can use him in other areas besides cornerback. A lot of older cornerbacks actually fill in quite frequently in the safety position, which that's what they gave up to get him. They gave up their safety. So I think Jalen Ramsey is a great addition to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think he'll be great in that role. I think he'll play good. As long as he's healthy, he should be a great addition, and the defense will be better for having him. Of course, the main player that Steelers had to give up to get Jalen Ramsey is Fitzpatrick. So Fitzpatrick actually kind of hurts to get rid of him, to get Jalen Ramsey. He was their main standout safety. None of the safeties the Steelers have can really replace Fitzpatrick that easily. Of course, if they do what I think they're going to do and use a cornerback in sort of a safety role, that kind of lessens the impact of this trade. But the Dolphins do acquire a pretty good safety. Fitzpatrick, of course, he didn't play as good as the years past in 2024, but there's still a chance he has great seasons in him. And on the Dolphins defense, he should be decently good. I'm not sure how good, but that more depends on how that Dolphins defense is performing as a whole. So, of course, in addition to just those two players being swapped, there was also the Dolphins throwing in Jonnu Smith. So, Jonnu Smith was, of course, with Arthur Smith in Atlanta 2 years ago when we were all collectively losing our minds about the Falcons' offense throwing to Jonnu Smith over Kyle Pitts. Little did we know at that time that in 2024, Jonnu Smith would have a breakout year on the Miami Dolphins and have won a very good season, putting up a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns with the team. So now in 2025, Jonnu Smith will be becoming a Pittsburgh Steeler because of this trade. And it's kind of interesting because the Steelers didn't really need another good tight end. They have Pat Freiermuth. And by getting Jonnu Smith, well, that's another playmaker for Aaron Rodgers, which I kind of like it in that sense because now they have the ability to maybe put out two tight end sets and play more 12 personnel. And this also helps address the fact that the Steelers' wide receiver room is kind of lacking behind DK Metcalf. So it's, I think, a great trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers honestly win this trade, at least in the short term, because they're basically building a team that Aaron Rodgers can use to potentially go on a playoff run. And they're doing it in a way that isn't pandering to Rodgers' wants and desires of his buddies like Alan Lazard or someone else. So, Jonnu Smith. In the Pittsburgh system, I think he definitely takes over the starting role from Pat Freiermuth. I think he, at least based off his 2024 season, is better than Pat Freiermuth, though maybe Freiermuth will retain it just because he's been the Steelers tight end for longer, he's been in the building longer. But regardless, I think both of them will see the field a lot. It'll be interesting to see which tight end gets targeted more, which one performs better, but I have a feeling it might be Smith. So why did the Dolphins do this? Why did they give up all of this to get Minkah? Well, part of it is Jalen Ramsey's contract, which they gave him a massive contract on top of what the Rams already gave him when they traded to get him from the LA Rams. So not wanting that contract anymore and not wanting to pay Jonnu Smith for his 2024 production probably led them to this point, which if that's it, if it's just a money move, there's not really much to comment on other than it's unfortunate that money ended Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey's time in Miami. So with that being said, guys, please like, share, subscribe down below, tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time.